All right, so we're going to get rolling here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to With That Being Said, a Rue Fitness podcast. Today is going to be fun.
Yep.
We're talking about beer with Robert Bostick from Bostick Builds. Nope, wrong podcast. Robert Bostick with Brieux Carre. I said it right?
You said it right.
How about that? It's only taken 6 months.
We got there eventually. I'm proud of you.
All right. We Brieux Carre all the time, which is great.
Yeah, that seems weird.
It's not Brieux Carre. Like, it's not whose line is it anyway?
Terrible. We also have with us Sarah Tabello, my drinking buddy, even though we never drink.
Not
anymore.
lately. We did last Friday.
We did last Friday. So, and then I am Bradley Schneller, your mayor. So, all right. So, Robert with Brieux Carre is a Mardi Gras sponsor. Mardi Gras is our functional fitness competition that we're having January 23rd.
It is our 4th year. We will be at Crescent Park, which is actually not far from you guys. Where are y'all exactly?
Yeah, so we're on Decatur Street, right between Elysian Fields and Esplanade. So no, not Esplanade. Yeah, and Frenchman Street. So we're literally right.
This is a whole podcast full of big facts here.
Yeah,
we need a fact
over
checker.
there.
Hey, producer.
We're going to need someone to listen to this before we put this out into the world.
They're right off Frenchman in a cool little alleyway. I felt like a pirate when I went over there.
Yeah, we're like one of the
out.
smallest breweries in the state, so it's fun getting over there. We have our little courtyard. We fit the whole New Orleans. Get off the street and relax in the back. Atmosphere.
And y'all brew right there, huh?
Yep, everything's brewed right there.
So what? Okay, I got all kinds of questions, right? So just so you know, Mardi Gras, you will be doing a keg carry. It's already been announced. All right,
Yep.
So you're gonna have to carry that thing for distance after doing other movements. It should be a whole lot of fun. You excited to see that?
Yeah, so we throw around kegs all the time, so it'll be funny. If you're not used to throwing around kegs, they're like 160 pounds filled, and if you're not used to just carrying
We're doing it empty, guys.
That would be great.
Holy shit.
Just fill up one of them and just see how they go.
You should. We could have some kind of contest
We
out
could have
there
a contest.
with a
I
full
like it,
keg,
with a full
seeing
keg.
what people can do.
Let's do that.
We have a sandbag next door that we call Big Bertha, and I think she's like 186.
186.
And Bradley asked when we were talking, he's like, wait, are we filling the kegs? And I was like, no, we'd have to start renting out Big Bertha for people to play around if like
how
we
you
were
get
doing
it.
that.
What we should do is they should have one of their guys, their brewery guys, do like some type of keg thing with the 180-pound keg, and then see if people at Mardi Gras can beat that guy who's used to doing it. That could be
I
fun,
would
and then they
imagine
could win like a
not.
prize.
Yeah.
Maybe we could give something away, like a massage, and then they win like a 6-pack or something like that, or a case of beer from Brieux Carre. That
They're
could
definitely
be fun.
going to need a massage after trying to throw the keg around if they're not used to it.
Oh,
That'd be a good idea.
That'd be awesome. So, Robert, how did you get started with brewing beer?
So honestly, I started brewing in college with a good buddy of mine.
Where'd you go?
I went to LSU.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we were at LSU. I think we were 20 when we started. So we were like, well, we just started getting into craft beer. And we were 21. We just started getting into craft beer. And
Yeah, right.
we're spending all this money. And we're like, well, why don't we try brewing it? We saw a few people that we know were brewing beer. So we kind of started off with like plastic water jugs and did a few batches at my mom's house. And they were, honestly, the first batches came out terrible. But we just kind of kept sticking with it. Nobody else was really brewing beer commercially in Louisiana besides a few other breweries. So the longer and longer we did it, started taking over my house, and it was like, well, let's go for it.
Yeah, I remember just, Robert and I met in high school and just being on social media and being like, what is that? And then fast forward being like, damn, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was funny. We had used to get my high school science teacher would start seeing our posts and stuff, and like I was never that great in science, and she's like seeing me post about yeast and stuff. She's like, oh, this is really cool. I'm like, oh yeah, well now I wish I would have paid attention.
I love it. Did you go around the world at the Chimes?
I have not gone around the world at the Chimes.
My name's on that wall somewhere. I made it.
Oh,
I will say
man.
the different beers that I've drank now, I've very easily over 3,000 different beers. So I could do it now.
Did you ever brew any beer in college where you're like, fuck, this is terrible?
Every one of them in college. Yeah, they were all bad.
Awesome. So like you're brewing in college. When did Brieux Carre officially start?
So right when I graduated in August of 13, I started traveling around the world a little bit. So once you start going to other places, especially like Denver, gone to Australia, and you start seeing how the beer communities are around the world, we're like, man, nobody had this like little tap room experience in New Orleans yet. So August of 2014, I took out the LLC and I was like, all right, let's just go for it and see what we got. In doing that, in that span of 3 years it took me to open, we've probably had like 4 or 5 other breweries open up in the span, like Courtyard Brewery. Nola's already been around a couple years.
Second Line, right?
Yeah, Second Line opened up in there. Urban South was in the planning stages, so we'd all kind of.
What's the one in the Maroney?
So we're the one in the Maroney.
No. There's another one, but the one by
Bacchanal.
Yeah, by Bacchanal.
Parlo Beer Lab.
Parlo. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so actually us and Parlo and another brewery, Royal, we all opened up in a 2-week period. So
That's crazy.
Man.
While we were all planning this opening together, it started becoming like a little race because we would all see each other at other breweries with our laptops, writing out our business plan, figuring out how we're doing finance and everything. So we'd all communicate, and it was like, all right, well, we're all waiting on these little inspections. So for the record, we opened up first out of the 3, then Parlo and Royal. So every year when we all have our anniversary parties, they're all right around the same time.
That's funny. So I feel like with the breweries in New Orleans, it could be similar to coffee shops or snowball stands, where like I had a good friend of mine that says if a neighborhood can support one coffee shop, they can support 2 coffee shops.
Absolutely.
The same thing with snowball stands. And I feel like in New Orleans, like you guys can all be friends. Like there's plenty of beer to go around.
Yeah. So actually, New Orleans, for the amount of people that we have, we still have a really small beer community, but we all communicate, we all collab with each other. You'll find like if you travel around to other states,
No beer wars.
Yeah, no, we do. We get
all right.
Yeah, we're smart asses with each other when it
I
comes
like
to
it.
beer. But like if you go to like Denver and some of the other bigger beer cities, you'll go to some breweries that are just like terrible, but the doors are open. They're still in the community. You go over here, every single one of us is like constantly pushing each other to brew better and better beers. So collectively, I think we have a really dense population of good breweries, which
I like
is
it.
awesome.
You ever tell another brewery like, "Ooh, bad move"? Like you should.
You kind of, so you skate the line. Like you'll never go say, "Man, this beer is terrible. What are you doing?"
Right.
So
Constructive criticism.
yeah, everybody kind of does the same thing. They're like, "What kind of grain did you use? What?"
You read between the lines.
Yeah, like you start just asking the questions that insinuate they did something wrong. But everybody's really cool. Everybody's kind of trying to figure out what that problem was to figure out how that won't happen to them or how they can correct it in the future.
Man, that feels like in high school when my mom wouldn't outright be like, I don't like what you're wearing. She'd be like, oh, that's it.
What were you thinking when you made this choice for this skirt?
Yeah, that scarf, huh?
Oh, I get that. So, Robert, can you tell us Brieux Carre's like official list of beers right now?
So the official list of beers always changes. So that
Right now, as of right now.
right now we have a bunch of cans and draft. I know on draft we have a bunch of IPAs. So we have Dad Jokes, which was
Oh, by the way, Brieux Carre has the best names for their beers.
Yeah, do you do the names and like the graphics for them, or
So-
how does that happen?
not all of them. So
The cans are works of art too.
Yeah. So it used to be me doing a lot of the names. Then everybody that comes on, every time we're drinking, we're always talking about names. So we have a long list of names for beers that we can never brew because a lot of them are way too crude. But everything we can get away with, we're like, all right, we'll kind of go with this.
Bradley wants to see this list. I see it in his eyes.
Also, I'm trying to remember this dad joke that I had for Christmas that I can't recall. Oh, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so right now we have Dad Jokes. That's a big hazy double IPA. And then we had to follow that up with Mom Jeans, which is
solid.
the triple IPA, so a really big version of that. We have another IPA called What You Doing Up There Armadillo, which honestly, we use a hop called Amarillo and then Strata hops as well. So we're like sitting around drinking and we're like, man, this would be really cool to have a can with an armadillo and a space helmet sitting on like Saturn. And we're like, we couldn't come up with anything better. So we're like, let's roll with it.
It's
So,
wonderful, though.
Yeah.
so we have this adorable little armadillo in a can. And so our head brewer's wife, Dana, she does all the can designs.
Cool.
I love it. I love it.
My tart will go on has a really special place in my heart.
Absolutely.
I imagine your
beautiful.
fruit ones change seasonally.
It depends. So some of them do. So like if you start doing stuff with like muscadines and everything where they're really seasonal, yeah, we'll change all the time. But yeah, my tar will go on. So I'm a big 90s women's power ballads fan. So actually, anytime I'm there and I start prepping for like brew days or canning runs, you'll always hear Natalie Imbruglia or
Ooh.
Melissa Etheridge on. And actually our one IPA that's like becoming our standard to distribute is called 90s Women's Power Ballads.
Yes.
I love it.
I
I love
this.
it. So like, I actually really liked your German Pilsner and your
Yeah.
Czech Pilsner.
Yeah. So,
Both of those were super good.
yeah, lagers are starting to get really, really popular. Our brewer Charles is a huge Pilsner fan. So anytime we go travel, and he goes to Austin a good bit. Austin is a very big lager-centric beer community. So he's big into Pilsners. And yeah, ours is great, man.
What kind of beer do you think New Orleans is missing right now?
Ooh. There's not one right now.
We got them all.
Yeah, we got them all. We're a big melting pot of like every type of beer nerd that you can think of, or like beginner beer drinkers. You can find something everywhere.
Yeah, I'm weird. So like, I used to be heavy into like super dark beers, which I still love super dark beers. But I used to do like IPAs and wheats and stuff like that. But the older I get, the lighter the beer I drink now, which is weird, right? Because like when you're young, you drink light beer, and then I think you might go through a phase, and then I don't know. Now I drink light beer again.
Yeah, I kind of
By light beer, I don't mean like Natty and
Yeah.
Bud Light. I mean
you're
like.
you're like Busch Light. It's all right.
It's fine. This is a safe place.
I will say this. I'm gonna give a story. Busch Light. So there used to be a store right over here on Jefferson Highway called Suda Salvage.
Yeah.
You familiar with
Yeah.
it? So it'd be like busted cans of beans and shit like that would be like half off. Well, my grandmother used to always shop there, and then my mom started getting some stuff there. Now, you wouldn't get all your stuff from there because it was kind of nasty up in there, but we bought stuff from there. Well, for the Sugar Bowl in 2001, it was I played in LSU's band, and it was my first bowl game, and we were staying at the Holiday Inn on Rampart, the one with the clarinet on it.
Yep.
Which I don't know how we got stuck there because Illinois' band stayed at like the fucking Hyatt or something, and I'm like, this is bullshit. But whatever.
actually from here.
We're at the Holiday Inn. I don't care. I have a per diem. I'm in my own hotel room. It's fucking on, right? And so I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, can you get me some alcohol? Because I was 18, okay? And she's like, yeah. So she goes to Suda Salvage and gets me like 48 cans of Busch Light.
Oh man.
And she rolls
That's
up.
what your per
She
diem
rolls
gets
up to the Holiday Inn, comes up to my room, brings bags of ice. We throw all the beer in the tub, ice it down, and then it was on like Donkey Kong. And I showered in my buddy's room.
Man,
Yep. There you go.
yeah. Honestly, throughout college, I would buy cases of Old English. So
We actually had a kegerator in our house, and
Hell
we kept it constantly full of Abita. I think it was mostly Abita. So we were bougie then. Bougie
Yeah.
now and bougie then. I don't know where I was going with this. Anyway, so what you said you went all around the world looking for different beer communities and stuff like that. What are some underrated beer cities around the world that you went to?
right now, I would say San Antonio. So, yeah, like everybody goes to Texas and goes to Austin a good bit. We have some friends at Freetail Brewing over there, and that's like one of the bigger breweries in San Antonio. Right now, there are not a lot of breweries over there, but the breweries that are there are like killing it in lagers. So like we're good friends with Freetail and Kunstler, and San Antonio is one of like the fastest growing cities in the country right now, and there are not a lot of breweries popping up right there. So almost every brewery you go to over there is great.
For the beer illiterate out there, can you explain to us, like, break down a lager for us?
Yeah, so
I think everyone knows like an IPA is an Indian Pale Ale that's pretty hoppy.
Yeah, so you'll have basically like three different types of beers. You're gonna have the kind that really just focus around the yeast that does fermentation and everything. So you have a lager, which will be bottom fermenting yeast. So like when it's fermenting, the yeast are going to eat sugars from the bottom up, and you're going to have ales, which are they're top fermenting yeast. So it's going to eat from the top down.
How do you do that?
They're just different strains of yeast.
Okay.
So like a long time ago, before anybody, before Louis Pasteur really like did all the figuring out, we can segregate this yeast strain and stuff. It would just kind of be open, and so you'd have a combination of different yeast and wild yeast and different bacteria that would ferment, and so you wouldn't have a really consistent batch of beer. But when they were able to start figuring out, well, this strain of yeast is this, does this, and this. Now yeast is like one of the biggest variables you can do when you're brewing beer.
All right, so we got lager, yeast, bottom up, ale, top down.
Top down.
And what's a Pilsner?
So Pilsner would be a lager.
Okay, Pilsner falls under a lager.
I need a chart right now.
I know.
Yeah.
So, all right, so what else is there besides an Indian Pale Ale that goes top
ale?
down? An ale.
Yeah, so you'll have, like if you see blonde ale.
Blonde ale, got
Blondes, saisons. Most
love a good
beers
saison.
are ales. So all Belgian beers are typically ale, fermented yeast, porters, stouts, all ales.
So your lagers are more crisp.
Yeah, so they tend to ferment at a lower temperature, so it takes a longer amount of time for the yeast to think about, like if it's really cold, it's a lot harder to work out.
Right.
Same thing for yeast. The colder it is, the slower they move. So they kind of become more complex as they age. So the longer and longer they ferment, stuff will start dropping out. It becomes a lot clearer. So you don't have any other residual proteins that are like floating around in your beer. They all coagulate out and drop down. So you get this.
This is fascinating.
We're getting pretty technical here. I like it.
So you'll get this like really, really clean drinking, crispy beer.
Love it.
This is so cool.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful to me.
We should have had Jared on for this.
We should have had Jared on for this. We'll do a second one. Let's do a second one. Look for part 2. We're gonna do it from Brieux Carre. You want me to bring my gear? We can do it. We can bring Jared there. We'll do it from Brieux Carre.
Yeah, Jared's one of our members, and he is our Ruse beer aficionado.
Yeah, for sure. You got to check out his Instagram. Do you know what his Instagram is?
Is
Well,
it at JJ Saints?
I think it is at JJ Saints. But if you check it out, he gives a beer review every basically Friday. I think you can catch him with a different beer in his backyard with some pretty pictures of beers. What is the Brieux Carre Instagram handle?
I think it's at Brieux Carre.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Big facts.
So one of my favorite beers, or let's say region, is I'm a big fan of Asian beers. I don't know.
So that's like a new market. So like Japan and China right now have a ton of new breweries popping up, and they're actually like, it used to be America trying to recreate European styles. Now a lot of the rest of the world is starting to try to recreate American styles because they've done so many, we've all done really weird beers.
Yeah.
And so we kind of all threw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and now everybody wants to do the same thing.
That's interesting. I've 2 weeks ago, I went to Mofo and had beer Lao.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
It's from Vietnam. It's delicious. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But what's your favorite Brieux Carre beer right now?
Right now, it'll be our Vienna lager called Wiener beer.
I'm in.
Yeah. It's good. So
For some reason I feel like eating while drinking that. I don't know. Like you say Wiener beer, and I could have a pretzel with it. I could have like a hot dog with it. I don't know.
It's perfect.
Some schnitzel.
Yeah.
Some
So
schnitzel.
like we've done our anytime we get Vienna malt, which makes our Vienna lager, it always has Wiener malts written on the bag, and so of course every time we're drinking we're like, well, when are we gonna brew a Wiener beer? When are we gonna brew it? And then finally we're like, well, we're gonna call it Wiener beer. That's it.
Yeah, Brieux Carre, we had our Rootoberfest, and y'all provided a ton of beer, and our members pretty much went apeshit over it.
I could tell you this: the German and Czech beer went like that. Like we went through 80 of those puppies in less than an hour.
Yes, 100%. They were gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, it
super
was
refreshing, especially after you work out.
Yeah, especially after that was the perfect beer to work out. Where like the heavier stuff, people were drinking more towards like an hour after working out,
Right.
which Jonathan was drinking everything. I think Jonathan drank 8 Brieux Carre beers that day.
Yeah, I think so.
He
and then
passed out and then couldn't come to dinner with us that night. I mean, he came, but he wasn't really there because
he did it right.
he was physically there.
He was physically there. Mentally, he was not. Shout out Jay Burke. You are a heck of a beer drinker, sir. So what's kind of on tap for the future of Brieux Carre?
So as far as like beers coming up, or what are we doing?
Yeah, all that.
All of it. So right now we're kind of since COVID and everything, we just
How's it been going?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
No, but it's getting better. So we're all kind of creative in figuring out how to stay alive throughout it. So one of the things we did is we switched our license to start distributing. While Louisiana as a whole has always been very, if you're going to do distribution, you got to go with these big distributors. You don't
It's
have
starting to change.
Yeah, they have a few distributors that are coming up that are really small and are started catering to smaller guys like us. So instead of us putting out like we don't put out 1,000 kegs per batch. We do like 30 to 40 kegs depending on how much yield we get. So for a distributor to want to come pick up like 30 kegs every couple weeks, it's not really worth it for the big guys. So you have smaller guys that'll come with a small truck and just go hit up a few bars that that basically pre-buy. Say, hey, we're going to buy this beer once they brew it. They'll go knock it out, and we can kind of keep changing it up. We don't have to brew the same beer all the time.
Right.
So we can do something different every other week.
Yeah, it would be like a restaurant, just the seasonal Brieux Carre basically.
Yeah, instead of having
like,
4 seasonals, we have like 50.
Yeah.
And so yeah, all of our partnerships with bars and restaurants and stuff that are selling our beer, they're kind of used to just being like, all right, well, we're going to get something new. We try to brew something that at least there'll always be something for somebody's palate. So you're not going to get like a crazy sour beer and then a clean lager the week after.
I do like a sour beer. I do like a sour beer. If you haven't had sour beer, you got to check it out. I don't know, you don't need to be in the right frame of mind, but don't let the first sip deter you. Go past that first sip, and then like by the time when you get halfway through the can, you're like, this is enjoyable.
It's like eating Cheez-Its. Like you don't want Cheez-Its, but if you eat one, you're like, well, let me eat another one.
I don't know about that.
And then you're about just next time you see a box of Cheez-Its,
I would say it's more like Scotch. The first time you drink Scotch, you're like,
it's true. Yeah.
Funny story. I was in Utah, and this is when I first started dating my wife, and her family are huge Scotch drinkers, and I was not a Scotch drinker, but I felt like I needed to drink Scotch in order to do it. And I think this is probably part of the reason. Like if they would have hit me up with Johnny Walker Blue right from the start, I probably would have been pretty good. But they hit me up with the red.
Yeah.
And I was like sipping this thing. I was like, how the fuck are y'all drinking this? And I was like, oh, I got to go get something out of the bedroom. And I like went to the bedroom, but veered off to the bathroom and like dumped it out in the sink. And then came back. I was like, oh, that was delicious. Thanks. I'm good. I'll take a beer now.
Scotch is rough, man. Yeah. The first time you have that, like that super peaty, burnt flavor.
You're not ready for it.
Yeah.
I also feel like now at 37, I'm not trying to impress anyone with my drinking.
Right.
So I just drink what I love and I don't give a fuck. So like it's a lot of bourbon and a lot of beer.
Yep.
We've evolved from Southern Jezebels at the dungeon. So.
Oh, God. The good days.
I have rules about the French Quarter in the summertime is that I try to avoid it because I was sitting at a table at Pato's one time in like July and my friend was like, dude, and I just knew.
What?
There were like roaches just crawling all over the wall
God.
and I was sitting against it and I got up and he's like, there's like 3 on your back. I flipped the fuck out. I don't know if he was lying to me or not. There were definitely roaches on the wall, but I took my shirt off in the middle of Pato's and this was not like when I look like I look now. So I took my shirt off because I was like,
freaking out.
From that moment on, I refuse to eat in a courtyard when it's the summertime in New Orleans.
Yeah, no, that's my
At
biggest
night.
fear. I can't stand roaches.
Yeah, I'm out. But anyway, it's the wintertime, so let's go. So
we're good.
I do the dungeon in the wintertime.
I think I overstayed my welcome at the dungeon, but
I think we all did.
sorry, Mom, in case you're listening to this one. So what are the so you're distributing now to some bars. Do y'all have more plans? Or is it just kind of COVID one day at a time.
Yeah, right now we're all kind of.
It's funny how you say that. COVID one day at a time.
Yeah, everybody's kind of on eggshells because we all at any given time we have hundreds of thousands of dollars of
Beer.
of products sitting in tanks, and so like at the beginning where it was like, all right, well even now we're all lumped in with bars, which is really weird. It's like bars don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of products sitting in their tank, so and any given week right now we're all wondering, are we gonna get shut down?
Yeah.
Can we stay open? Can we only do to go? Can we not have anybody?
Looks like you're good to go right now.
Yeah, right now we're good.
Just checked.
We're allowed to have 25% indoors, which for us is like 2 people
Right,
inside.
right.
But we have our beer garden and out front and stuff. So
But you
we're
get 4 or
able to-
5 tables out there.
Yep. So we have enough now to where it's like, all right, people can still hang out. It was weird before when people would come up and they would get beer to go and they're like, hey, can I use the bathroom? And be like, no, sorry. Not my fault. But at least people could come use the bathroom.
Yeah, I went to District Donuts and like ordered in the beginning, and I
Yeah.
like because they were doing all to go stuff, but you could go in, pick it up, and then like
to
stand
leave.
outside. You have to leave. And I ordered like $50-$60 worth of stuff, and I'm like, can I use your bathroom? They're
She
like,
had like 3 donuts from there, right?
right.
3
and,
donuts and a cup of coffee.
and they were like, no, sorry, and I'm like, like, I just ordered a shit ton of stuff. Come on, and by shit ton of stuff, we had 3 things.
Yeah.
I just went to District Donuts today.
What'd you get?
I got their chorizo breakfast burrito.
How was that?
It's good.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
3
good.
eggs on 1 taco. It's awesome.
I like it. So I got their Won't Bow Down, which is their new Pelicans. Shout out to the Pelicans. Their new Pelicans donut. It's with this city flag on it and everything.
And they worked with Hanson's, right? For the flavors.
Yeah, the flavors are fucking awesome. So like one half the donut is like it tastes like fucking strawberry, and then the other half tastes like blueberry, and then the middle is like cream cheese.
Yeah.
And then it's stuffed with like a Creole cream cheese. I'm not I don't love a ton of donut. That is awesome.
Noted.
I also don't recommend eating the whole thing by yourself. You might hate yourself. So split it with someone.
All their donuts are carb free, which is great. So they're not really heavy.
More big facts on this podcast.
Yeah.
today.
Lots of facts.
Three
Lots of
of
facts,
us.
guys. You heard it here. District Donuts are carb free. Guilt free too. No calories.
Nope, none of them.
Actually, it's 60 grams of protein per donut. Just go eat them all.
Work out, go get a donut.
It will be my
Upper
after thing. So.
recommendation.
All right, Robert. Anything else to add, man? We're super excited to have you in for Wadi Gras. So
Yeah, no, we're pumped up. We're really laid back, so it's gonna be fun. Just kind of going back and forth from the brewery and being able to hang out, drink beer, and yeah, we'll have a
big
good time.
facts.
Yeah, go from there.
Oh,
All right, y'all. Make sure to check out Brieux Carre on Instagram, Facebook. Check out their website. Go visit them. Stop in if you want to.
And you, y'all are still doing orders to go on the
Yeah,
website?
so you can still go on our website. Just go to brewcarre.com and click on.
What's
our
the
store.
largest amount of beer a regular person could purchase?
You
Could they
can
purchase
clear-
a whole keg?
You can clear out our whole cooler.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you can get kegs. You can get cases of beer. Yeah.
And so, all right, y'all. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe, like, all the stuff for
Leave
us.
nice words.
Share a friend. 5 stars only. Share a friend.
Share. That's kind of weird.
Share with a friend like that, or whatever floats your boat. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.